The question is, as a lawyer, do you fear that, there could be legal implications for that, especially in the psyche of Nigerians?
The legal implication of what now?
Of that thinking, that, I might not be able to get justice in this court. I need to have my rights protected by another court.
No, it's all over the place in litigation. There are quite a number of places where you will say, look, I'm not quite comfortable. In short, it can even be with specific judges. I'm not quite comfortable with this particular judge because he's been very hostile to me and all of that. You look for another judge.
What then happens in this?
But in this
that
case,
can only happen in
this case, it is a specialized court.
Exactly. That's
willy-nilly, it must be tried in the CCT. And because that is the only court, that's the court that is empowered to try declaration of assets.
You can only claim hostility if you've appeared before the judge, right?
Beautiful. So that can only be a ground for appeal. So, but you have to appear first. And that is what he's doing today.
Well, as he does that, quite frankly, the presidency has promised Nigerians that this month we'll get the list of ministers that will come on his cabinet. And this is the 22nd day of September. Do you think this is likely to affect that promise he made to Nigerians about having his ministerial list ready?
Well, part of the problem is that assuming for any reason Saraki gets on with this trial and the ripple effect which I earlier pointed out comes on, because take it or leave it, there are people in the Senate that are not comfortable with the leadership of Saraki. They also have not made any pretenses about it. So there's most likely going to be an agitation with regard to, no, we cannot have a Senate president that is facing criminal trial, because that's what it is. Good. And for us to save the image of the Senate and the hallowed chambers and all of that, we need him to step aside, or we can commence his impeachment proceeding and all of that. These are things that are going to come. Like I said, it has a short-term effect. The long-term effect, again, is, for some reason, a number of people are also threatened about the rising profile or political profile of Saraki. Come to that, like I noticed you asked one of your guests sometime, is this 2019 playing out? Yes, most likely. Why? You cannot wish Saraki away politically in the North now. Assuming for whatever it is, in 2019, the current president says, look, I'm too old to continue, or that I want to go and rest and all of that, I would have put one or two things that are my ideas in place in the 4 years you people offered me. This argument of completion of tenure of 8 years, maybe for a particular zone, will probably come, or is most likely going to come. And who are you, when you start looking at what personalities, what political personalities you can see up there in the North and all of that, Saraki is definitely one of them.
And for speaking with having your political cap on, you think from 2015, just a quarter gone in the administration of a 16th quarter for the government, it's not too early in the day to start politicking for 2019?
Politics starts immediately after the election. Immediately after election is won, strategic moves are being made with regard to positioning people and all of that. All that story about Saraki will be Senate president. Do you know it is a means to an end, not an end in itself?
Is that not?
He has positioned himself, and you can, like I said, you cannot wish him away in the political calculation of the North. Senate president, ebullient, inherited a very formidable political dynasty from his father, and on his own, young, with everything going for him and all of that. Of course, he needs to be crushed.
That notion.
If you're asking me to talk about the politics of it, he needs to be crushed. That's a long-term effect. So there are quite a number of people who are waiting silently and are very happy with his traverse. Meanwhile, the immediate thing is to also stop him from continuing to be Senate president. Those are two long-time games. But then he has to have a gap of anti-corruption for a public appeal.
Mr. K, the two things here. One, that notion that politics starts immediately after the last election, doesn't that then push away the issues of governance?
Well, it doesn't push it away, but you see, you have to have your eye on it. on the politics. You get the point? While you are focused on governance, you are also...
But how can you focus?
That's the dexterity of...
politicians are very dexterous.
Of a politician. You know, it's a balancing act. You are not about to begin to empower people who you know are most likely going to either challenge you or be obstinate to you, because there are some people you say, step down, this is my preferred candidate, which actually happens in politics. And because you have empowered them so seriously while you are governing, you can no longer, they are no longer amenable to discipline.
This now, let's look at the issues of fight against corruption and this politicking. How can the fight against corruption be taken to its conclusive end if the issues of politics will come? If for everyone that is brought forward that has questions to answer, there's a notion that is political, being witch hunted, then what goes on? How can this corruption thing be taken care of?
First and foremost, witch hunting is not a defense.
Oh, but that's what politicians always come up with.
No.
Political detractors are doing this.
No, it's not a defense. Go and answer your questions. Go and answer. If you have questions to answer, go and answer them. You get the point. Everybody has a way of saying, it's my political enemies that are actually, propping up this case and all of that. But the question is, are you guilty? We're not saying you should go and prove your innocence because an accused person is presumed innocent, but at least go and establish it, that you are innocent. Good. Then you can now say that it was my political opponents that propped up the case. But as it stands now, two things are about to happen. One is, if Saraki faces the tribunal and the scene 2 of the act, which is the National Assembly, now says, sorry, we cannot continue to have somebody who is facing a criminal charge and presiding over us and all of that. We're in for a bumpy ride. And nobody knows where it's going to lead us. So that comes back to last question of approval of ministerial list and all of that. Such things may either be delayed or we may not even have a forum for that until we have sorted this out. Note that at a point in time when there was a time we shut down this country for about 7 weeks because the the leadership of the National Assembly, or at least precisely the House of Representatives, was in contention. And the APC insisted that a particular person must be their majority leader. And we shut down this country 7 weeks. We were all waiting. So this is another scenario that we are going to experience if it is not properly handled.
We had Olusegun yesterday very quickly here. He did say sometimes we're very quick to chase stories and before we know it, they fizzle out. Do you think this will fizzle out?
Well, it's going to fizzle out. I mean, there is nothing... At times, politicians have a way of actually generating these kind of controversies to get us busy, to get you to invite me. And we talk about it 2-3 weeks down the line. There is another thing to talk about and all of that. I mean, but you see, what the effect of it is that if it dents Saraki's political image, he simply goes into political oblivion. Because remember, there was a time, who was it? Farouk Lawan was like the biggest thing that happened in Kano. Mr. Integrity, and he was everything, and in politics in Kano. You saw when he got into his trouble, with the Otedola saga and all of that. He simply went into political oblivion. Did you see him contest for governorship or anything? In short, a politician has a way of hogging camera light. Anywhere you see pressmen, you are comfortable with them. By the time a politician begins to avoid pressmen, they know that something is wrong.
George Eke, thank you for coming on Sunrise this morning.
Thank you so much.
We'll take a moment here. We'll return to look at this matter from another perspective. Stay with us.